Hello and welcome to the Business Intelligence Services MicroStrategy training videos. This video is the third in a set of 3 on the Office plugin functionality. And in this video we're going to talk about how to share data once you've got an Excel, Word, or PowerPoint document with a MicroStrategy report embedded in it. There are many options available, and it's important to understand how that reacts when you share it with somebody else. You can either freeze the data so they see exactly only what you have shared with them. You can let them re-execute the data and it would show up with their data instead of yours, but the same format. Just like if you were running a MicroStrategy report, because it is indeed a MicroStrategy report. Or you can clear just the data and hand it to somebody so that they can't see the data that you see, but when they run it, they'll see their data. So lots of different options. It's important to go to your Help icon on the MicroStrategy plugin toolbar, double click, and you will get the help document, which we've mentioned in the other areas, but in particular securing and distributing data is what we're covering in this section. And all of the options that we cover are in this document in detail. So decide how you want to share it with somebody, and then if you look in this document you'll find the way to make that happen. So we're just going to go down through all of these different options and show you where they are in the tool. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is actually run a report. So we're going to go into Office. And I have already signed on, so I'm already in, and here's my reports that I have access to. I'm going to run a spot report just as an example. Remember, there's lots of different options, but I'm just going to run it in the default format instead of doing flattened, but I could run it as a flattened format. So if I run the report, it asks me for the term. I'll just execute the report here. And I have the report in the document, in the Excel document. So again, here's my report window. Here's my my Excel plugin window, and from there we'll go through the different options. So the first one is is excluding the Office login information, and in order to do that you're going to go into the options on this screen. So there's options that you can see on the plugin, and there's tools that you can see on the report window itself, but this one is on the options window. And if you look in security, you have the option to persist the report properties. In other words, it would run the same report for the same term when somebody else opened it, but and your login would be the default. It does not default your password. It would just default your login. So it would run the exact same report. So if you're just using it for yourself and you don't want to have to worry about reformatting everything all the time, it would run it. If you had this flattened, it would run it again flattened. Once you typed in your login number. Otherwise, it'll come up with the data that you had from the last run. So you can lock that persistence. Like if you wanted to share this report with somebody else and you didn't want them to run it differently, you're actually just sharing the numbers, you can lock the persistence, and so then it would not change the data. They would not be able to change what's in that particular spreadsheet. All right, so that's sharing at that level. And again, this is covered in the help document in detail. and you should experiment with this. Make sure you're comfortable with it. Now, maybe you have set up a nice report to run and you really want to share the spreadsheet because you've got other worksheets that depend on this, and if other people would just run it, they would get their worksheets completed with their data. You can go over to the report window, which is behind here, and in there, right-click on any report, and we ran the, type on the reports. This back here is the view into MicroStrategy. This is the view of what reports you have in this particular document, in the Excel document. So we want to go to the reports that are in this document, right-click, and clear the report. So if you clear the report, you will lose your headers. If you clear the report data, you just lose the data and the headers stay. So we'll do clear report data first, and we'll see what happens. Well, apparently clear report data is not clearing the report data. It should. But clear report clears the entire report. So you can refresh the report, in which case it would put the data back on. I am not sure why it will not clear the report data. It could be that it's only clearing the metrics. Let's see what's happening here. Yes. It's only clearing the metrics, the numbers that are on the report. It leaves anything that is about an attribute, which is some descriptor. So it leaves the descriptors, it clears out the numbers. But if you want the descriptors to be gone too, then you just clear the report entirely. But as you see, all I have to do is do refresh. Again, right-click on it and say refresh report. If I re-execute the report, it'll go out to the database and re-execute. I can reprompt the report, and in which case it would ask me for a new year, a new term in this case, but it would ask for new prompts. If you just wanted to refresh it with the same prompts you ran the last time, you would say refresh. So I'm going to refresh this so I have data to work with for the next example. Okay, now you can also disable the ability to refresh or reprompt the data. So you can essentially freeze this report. And the way you do that is to, again, go into your options on your MicroStrategy toolbar, and under Security, and say persist the report properties, and say no, you don't want that to be persisted. So and so that would not allow someone else to rerun this report even under their sign-on. Essentially, these are frozen properties. Now, one thing you have to know about persisting report properties is that it applies to the reports that you have currently active. You can undo this by, well, and this is described in the help manual in detail. But to read exactly what it says is to ensure that reports and documents already in the file cannot be refreshed. You must delete the report, clear the report, persist report properties checkbox, and then re-execute the report. So if you wanted this report to persist the report properties, you would have to delete the report, which again is to go over to the Windows menu and say delete the report. Then go into the options, clear the persist report properties button, and then re-execute the report. So anything that was already on there would still persist the properties. So in order to, and again, in order to re-execute the report, you go to your Office plugin icon, which brings up what's in MicroStrategy, rerun the report, and now it's run with persisted properties. That means that anyone else who picks up this report, they're going to see these numbers and they can't change them. Okay. You can choose to refresh data automatically. What I'm going to do is I'm going to undo this persist properties because I really don't want to do that. So I'm going to go to reports. And you see there's no report name in here because this has been persisted. So I'm going to clear this worksheet. Clear data. Just like I didn't have a MicroStrategy worksheet. Just to be safe, we'll just delete this. So we're back to a normal. We go into options and we allow the properties to be persisted so that now the reports I do will be able to persist properties. I don't have any reports at this time. I only have my sheet 1. But when I go to Office, I can now run a report. Taking a while. Okay. Now, let's say that every time I open up this spreadsheet, I would like it to just automatically refresh with what the new data is at that point in time. So I don't want to have to think about, what it is. I just want new data. Now in Spot, it doesn't really matter because it is frozen for every term, but let's say you were looking at registration and you want it to refresh at every time you bring in the spreadsheet. In order to do that, you would again go up to the options on your MicroStrategy toolbar, and you go to General, and under your General options, you'll see refresh the reports when the documents are opened. And you can choose to ask before refreshing, so it would, or if you just automatically want this to refresh. You don't want to have to answer a question, then you just uncheck this and it'll refresh it automatically when you sign in, when you open up your Excel spreadsheet. If you want to control modifications to the data once you've shared this with somebody else, you can do that by adding reports as static images. And this is only done in the PowerPoint and Word. You cannot add a static report or image in Excel. And in order to do that, if you were in, well, let's just bring PowerPoint over here. Okay, so here's PowerPoint. And I go into my MicroStrategy toolbar. Just looks exactly the same as it does in Excel. And we'll actually go down to the PowerPoint that we are talking about right now. And as you can see, the PowerPoint will take you through exactly what's in the manual for each of these scenarios. So it's worth printing out the PowerPoint or referring to your help manual that can have the same information. Okay, so controlling modifications to data. You can add a report to a PowerPoint. So we'll do that. So we go into, well, first we would set the options. So we go into options. This is similar to the options that we had in okay. And under security, we now have report modification area. Oh, it's under PowerPoint security. So under PowerPoint security, report modification, you can say use a static picture. You can also use an interactive embedded Excel workbook right into your PowerPoint. So you could actually have Excel within PowerPoint here, but we're just talking about a static picture. So it would just save it as a bitmap or an enhanced meta file or a Windows meta file. So we'll just do a bitmap. So we'll say OK. And we'll say, we'll go to reports. We'll run a report. Well, there's no reports in here right at this point, of course. So we go into Office. I have to log in again because I'm in PowerPoint now instead of Excel. You can see there's formatting that needs to happen with this particular application. It's going to take a while, but you get the idea. It's going to insert into this PowerPoint as a bitmap instead of as a anything that you can refresh. If you want it to refresh, you insert it as a you go into your options. And you make it an interactive Excel workbook within PowerPoint. So those are your options there. Okay. You can only control the modifications to data if you save it as a bitmap in Word or PowerPoint. Okay. You can also control whether a user has the ability to modify persisted report properties. And the way you do that, and let's go back to the Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to close this. I'm going to close the PowerPoint. Okay. We'll go back here, and again, we'll go under the options on the MicroStrategy plugin toolbar. And I think what I have to do is sign out of the PowerPoint. Okay. Now, if you remember, I locked this down, I believe. Oh no, okay, we're fine. So again, go under Security. And make sure that the persist report properties is checked, and then we can lock the persistence. And now people can't change the format once you share it with them. So if there's some kind of property, the way the spreadsheet is set up, that you want to keep and you don't want people to undo when you share it with them, you can say lock the persistence, and it will prevent them from making any changes to the format of the spreadsheet. So that's a really high-level overview of the options under Security for a MicroStrategy plugin, Office plugin tool. And if you need more information, like I said, you can go under the Help. And in particular, the securing and distributing data is important. So if you come up with a question on the on your particular scenario, you can always contact the Business Intelligence Services team, or go to the BI Hub and start a conversation around how you're sharing data with other people in your department or even other departments using this tool and doing it securely. So that's the end of this video. Thanks.